everyone, good afternoon and happy Friday. I'm Chief Meteorologist Darrell Whittinger from the Central Oregon Daily Weather Center. And across the high desert through our Tri-County area, we're looking at several big changes. A couple back-to-back weak and dry cold fronts push through. This brings a gradual cooling trend, which is going to bottom out on Monday. That's going to be our next chance of rain. And as of right now, we're not looking at much in the way of thunderstorm activity on Monday, just some showers, a little bit of reprieve from the dry conditions we've had. So we're about to take a deep dive into your most reliable forecasts because fire weather conditions are still the top concern. We have this cooling trend, some showers, our next heating trend, and even more changes ahead. So when we look outside, these weather cameras that are stretched from Lake Billy, Chinook, and Bachelor all the way through Prineville Reservoir and even Pine Mountain are showing some different things. We have some of them that are showing mostly clear conditions, and others are zoomed in on fires, and most of that is the Cram fire. We're going to be talking about that a little bit more here through the rest of this video, and not just the Cram fire, but how it's impacting us and what's going to change as we go forward. And other cameras are showing some clouds over the Cascades. This Outback camera from Bachelor overlooking Tumalo Mountain and Bend, you can see that layer of haze, that smoke through our Tri-County area. Meanwhile, as we go forward through the rest of tonight, there's only some of us that are going to get some reduced air quality. Right now, the airnow.gov, the DEQ, and is showing good air quality for the entire Tri-County area. That's the hourly average. Now, the East Space sensors are also showing good air quality, and it's not really been budging too much through this afternoon. And as we go through the next few days, we are expecting that to change a little bit. I do have the fire perimeter now put on there for the Cram fire. Notice most of those flames are further south, and what that is this fire continues to develop further to the south. And when we zoom in and take a closer look, what we're seeing with this is that winds are coming out of the northwest. Now, the closest edge of this fire to Madras is still about 6 miles away, and as winds are coming out of the northwest and the north, this fire is continuing to grow further to the south. At last check, it was 94,000 plus acres, more than 94,000 acres, and it's continuing to work its way south. So when we look in a little bit closer, when we zoom into where the fire line is, and where the hot spots are, we can see that it continues to push a little further to the south. So that is what we're continuing to track. And again, at last check, the Cram fire was at 94,293 acres with 0% containment, and there are several evacuation zones that are in place, not just through our Tri-County area, but a little bit further to the north as well. So I'm going to pull in another graphic, but I'm also going to explain this a little bit better, because there is one zone that's just not getting any data, and that zone is right here, right around Ashwood. Now, in the greater Ashwood community, it does have the level 3 go now evacuation, but everything you see that's blank, that is part of a zone, Northeast 16 in Jefferson County. You also have a level 3 go now evacuation. It's just not showing up in the computer. That out of the way now, we do have evacuation zones well into Wasco County, including getting up to Shannico with a level 1 be ready evacuation. And around Antelope, just to the south and southwest of Antelope, there's a go now level 3 evacuation. Just to through Antelope and to the southeast and east, there is a level 2 be set evacuation. Looking at a few other spots from Willowdale coming almost all the way into Madras, not quite there, including Gateway, there is a series of evacuation zones, and it goes from level 3 just in between Willowdale and Gateway to a level 2 over Gateway, and a little bit of a level 1 there as well. And this goes right along the 97 corridor, coming almost all the way into Madras. So the greater Madras area at the moment does not have an evacuation notice for this fire, but we are starting to see some being implemented not just in southeastern Jefferson County and coming down the 26 corridor, but in northern Crook County. These were new as of last night, where we have a pair of level 2 be set evacuations that are in place. And keep in mind that that fire perimeter is working its way further to the south, just not quite there. In fact, through the last couple of days, we've had quite a bit of development with this fire as it continues to grow to the south. It's taking up more acreage and continuing to burn even more. And we have more stories on this that are we have in the pipeline for this evening on Central Oregon Daily News. So we're going to go ahead, move along just a little bit. We've taken our tour through all of the evacuation zones, but there's still a red flag warning until 10 p.m. this evening, also known as a fire weather warning. They're both the same thing. Their names are used interchangeably due to strong afternoon and evening winds and very dry conditions. We're talking relative humidity values that are in the teens with some single digits at their minimum. Any fires that start are likely to spread rapidly. Notice this falls just short of coming through the east slopes of the Cascades and the San Ian Pass. A little bit of the Cascades in Jefferson County, but not the whole Cascade range. Now, right now, at this moment, we have mostly teens when it comes to relative humidity. A couple of outliers in Sisters and in Lapine. Paulina, almost single digits at this moment. On top of that, winds have started to pick up, and we're using the Madras winds right now because well, to be frank, I should say, this fire, the edge of it is just 6 miles away from Madras and continuing to work to the south. Now, in the last couple of hours, wind speeds have picked up quite a bit. It's only going to be breezy into this evening by 7 o'clock, coming back down, or I should say 8 o'clock, coming back down into a light breeze. Remember, with this graphic, everything to the left of the white line is observed, everything to the right is forecast, and as that goes away, we're all looking at forecast conditions. And by tomorrow afternoon, it's still going to be breezy, coming out of the northwest once again. So that is one of the big things we're continuing to track. Also continuing to track this smoke plume. Right now, the biggest fire in the state, and that smoke is mostly going through East Jefferson County and northern Crook County. But here through tonight, as winds taper off, we're going to see it spread out a little bit. Remember, we have that weak cold front coming through, so winds don't really taper off till we get to the early morning hours, and we have periods of smoke that are going to be pushing through, that will be pushing through the high desert, just not really inundating everybody. And already on satellite and radar, we can begin to track this cold front that's rolling in. I don't even have the front drawn on here because it's not a really strong system. And there are some showers going through the Cascades of Washington, just left the greater Seattle area, and they were mostly just sprinkles. Now through tonight, we're not looking at that precipitation, but we were already starting to get some of those clouds, and the in and out cloud cover will continue through the overnight hours. When we look at the bigger picture with infrared satellite imagery, I also put pressure on there as well. Those equal lines of pressures, those are called isobars. Okay, now when these isobars tighten up a little bit over the Cascades, that's where we're seeing increased wind speeds coming out of the west and northwest. Those clouds are starting to roll in, they are dry, and when we look at the bigger picture, getting way out there, we do still have this broad ridge of high pressure out over the Pacific Ocean. Now, one thing that is going to happen is this high pressure is still going to be impacting us by tomorrow afternoon. But when we go ahead and zoom in just a little bit more, we have one front, that's the one pushing through tonight. Another weak front pushes through tomorrow, and then that second cold front, its low pressure just descends over the Pacific Northwest, stalls out, fizzles out. And what that means for us is we are expecting it to get a little breezy at times, but we're also getting more clouds and even some showers by Monday. Now, our forecast model shows that first cold front rolling through, and that's going to be tonight. Then by Saturday, we get clearing. By Saturday night going into Sunday, cold front number 2 rolls through. And it's not going to be exactly the same as the one that's pushing through tonight, and here's why. Through the day Sunday, more clouds are expected. That whole low just descends over the Pacific Northwest and actually gives us a chance of rain by the time we get to Monday. So in the last 24 hours, highs have been in the 90s with some 80s. And remember, we are running a little bit cooler right now. We're sitting in the 90s and 80s with 78 degrees in Sisters, where that cloud cover is already starting to roll in. Not seeing any showers, but that bigger dip in temperatures. And our temperature change in the last 24 hours, running between 2 and 4 degrees cooler than it was this time yesterday. We continue to cool down tonight. Don't get as low as we started off the day. Lows will be in the 50s with a few 40s possible. By tomorrow, mid 80s. Now with tomorrow, we do get that return of sunshine, so very high UV intensity forecast is expected. It's still going to be hazy at times, but AM clearing is going to lead to abundant sunshine. By Sunday, more clouds, moderate UV intensity. By Monday, more clouds with some showers, low UV intensity forecast, and we start to ramp it back up on Tuesday. So altogether, this gradual cooling happens before showers roll into the high desert, and what we are expecting is 80s with a few 90s Saturday, 80s Sunday, and then by the time we get to Monday, 70s and some 80s. So truly roller coaster temperatures, and that next chance of rain holds off until we get to Monday. There's going to be another one next Thursday though. So let's go ahead and look at that forecast model, and it does show that here through the the forecast model, and it does show that here through the overnight hours we get that additional cloud cover, but we're staying dry. This isn't the high resolution model we were looking at earlier. And then we get the clearing on Saturday. By Saturday night going into Sunday, cold front number 2, then clouds thicken up through Sunday. That's what's bringing our UV intensity forecast down. By Monday, not only do we have the additional cloud cover, but some showers are expected. Notice no yellow, no orange, so we're not looking at thunderstorm activity, just showers. Now let's look at the extended forecast. Starting on Monday, this is a different forecast model. It too shows some showers, just not as many of them. And then by Tuesday, in and out clouds. By Wednesday, more sunshine than cloud cover. Then watch this, Thursday, we get a chance of showers. Any showers that develop, we're going to be tracking for thunderstorm activity. By Friday, back to clearing. So between now and Sunday at 11 p.m., no rain in sight. Few showers at the crest of the Cascades, more like sprinkles. After that, we have our next system roll through, and that's going to bring off and on scattered showers across central Oregon. Winds are going to be breezy at times, and even right now, it is still gusty, with gusts ranging between 15 and 25 miles per hour for most. Actual wind speeds 10 to 20 miles per hour, and this is going to stay breezy for a little bit longer, just a couple more hours before we really start to see winds taper off. Now, temperatures tonight fall into the 50s with a few 40s. By the time we get to Saturday, highs are going to be in the 80s for most of the high desert. A few 90s are even going to be possible. More of that haze, periods of reduced air quality, and your 7-day planner shows this continued cooling through Monday. By Tuesday, we start to heat back up. Another chance of showers with some thunderstorms on Thursday, followed by another dip in temperature. So ultimately, roller coaster temperatures, few chances of rain, maybe some thunderstorms later next week. And that brings us to our headlines for this Friday, July the 18th. A red flag warning until 10 p.m. A gradual cooling trend, but it's still going to bring breezy afternoons, dry conditions until we get to Monday. So that is it. If you have any questions, drop them in the comment section below. I'll do my best to get to them here through the rest of this evening. Other than that, join us in just a few minutes on ABC. So it's 5 and 11 on ABC and 6, 7, and 11 on CBS. We'll see you then.